Am I live? Can you tell me if I'm live or not? I think I'm live. Hello, everybody out there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No one's saying anything. I'm confused. Is anybody out there? Can you hear me? Yo, say yes if you can hear me. I'm so confused right now. Can someone say yes? I'm live? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay. Sorry. What's up, everybody? We just had a debate, huh? That was, that sucked. that sucked. Punisher 9652 says, how can you say the scandal key isn't flipped after tonight based off Biden's performance? You're telling me that a debate performance flips a scandal key on the level of Monica Lewinsky, on the level of quid pro quo with Ukraine? Come on, bro. Son Kofi says first. Nah, Punisher was first. What's up, do-whippity-doo? Hello, Ryan on Wheels. What's up, TK? Alex Blanco. Punisher says, Biden is cooked. No way he wins after tonight. Debates don't matter. Nobody's going to remember this debate in a week and a half. Hello, Patrick Murray. Sean P. says, can I respectfully ask that if we are paying for questions for your dad that you read the whole question? I did a super chat and you read the first few words and I assumed it was something. Oh, I didn't mean to not read the whole question. I apologize. Sometimes today I was trying a new strategy where I was copying, pasting questions into a Word document. So if I lost the chat, it wouldn't matter. So maybe I just didn't copy paste the whole thing. But you're saying answer questions you already answered? I don't know. If that's what you're saying, I don't want to answer questions you've already answered. That's just tough. Hello, Karen Strickler. Hello, Jay. Punisher says, this would turn the scandal key the same way if Biden whipped out his D, then that would turn the scandal key, but he didn't whip out his D. Hello, Ulan. Dr. Ash says, hi, Sam. Thanks for doing the stream despite being late and having a cold. I do it for you, Dr. Ash. I do it for you. Captain M90s, hello. Zyrical. Bustin RN. Nicholas Hoffman. Jeff Crusan. Captain M90s. Jay says, it was painful. Yeah. It was like one guy looked like he was on Mars and one dude looked like one dude was just lying his ass off. Did we ever find out the CNN poll? I think they only have that on TV. I don't think they publish that online. So if anybody's watching CNN, maybe they can tell us. Queen's Robbie says, I skipped the professor's live chat because I knew it would get a word in with all the doom posting. Yeah, there was a lot of doom posting for sure. Lincoln Project already cut an ad using Biden's words. What words? CNN is really throwing Biden under the bus. Interesting. Captain M90 says, I'm afraid that tons of extreme left pundits like Cenk and Uger and Kyle Kucinich, whatever, are already screaming about replacing Biden. Probably. They've been screaming about replacing Biden since 2016. They've been screaming about the Democratic nominees since 2016. Nothing's going to stop them now, right? Look, the people voted for Clinton and Hillary, and people voted for Biden. What are you going to do? And they're going to say, well, it was rigged or something. I don't know. I'd have to look more into that. Every talking head is saying Biden should bow out. Incumbency is the most powerful thing in politics. That's nuts. Why would you throw an incumbent out the window? That's never going to happen. Unless Biden is literally like incapacitated. Like he can't walk. No, even if he can't walk, he'll still, like he can't, if he's totally bedridden in a hospital, Other than that, he's going to be the nominee. Hillary Clinton won all the debates and still lost. Hello, Ross Goldberg. Rhino Wheels says, Sam, that debate was a shit show. I agree. I didn't look. At least it wasn't like 2020 where Trump was just. I kind of liked the muted mics. Like I think that worked. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a shit show. It was more just like a disappointment. It was just a disappointment on so many levels. Just one dude lying, one dude just looking like he was on Mars. Patrick Murray says, I'm nervous that Biden will drop. Huge backlash from the Dems tonight. They should be trying to hype him up. He's not going to drop. He's not going to drop. Kitsune, hello. Jeff Crusan says, the party bosses wanting to change candidates infuriates me. This is no different than Reagan's or Obama's first debate in 84 or 2012. Biden is just old. We don't switch candidates over a bad debate. I agree with that. It's like, what? Over bad debates, we're just going to switch candidates? That's nuts. I mean, yeah, he's old, so we're going to switch. We're going to start switching candidates based on age. Not going to happen. Sean P says, not asking you to answer what you already answered. You assumed it was a question you already answered because you didn't read the whole question. It was a new question. Okay, my apologies. Queen Sarabi says, I'm trying to tell my daughter about how this debate will be forgotten in a week. She was in tears and having an anxiety attack. Tell your daughter don't have anxiety attacks over debates or cry over debates. For sure. Are you guys going to stream after the election? And if so, what would be the topic? I want to keep streaming after the election. I guess, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The topic would be continuing to talk about politics and news and all that jazz. Well, I have 52 people watching. That's the most I've ever had. Thank you. If you're new, please subscribe. Throw a like on this video because I only have 11 likes, but I have 52 people watching. Ross says, I don't think that all Democratic operatives and all Democratic leaders are freaking out about the debate. I don't know. I have no context. I've just been on the live, so I don't know what people are saying. Something is going on with CNN. They have really been riding Trump. I don't really watch CNN, so I can't comment on that either, but I'll take your word for it. Chris Holiday says, if your dad is wrong for the first time ever, will it be because he got the policy change key and it will be because he got the policy change and short-term economy key wrong, if you say so. Let's see. Noah Stack. This is my friend. He says, you're from LA. Not sure we can trust a coastal elite. Fair point. I'm not from LA, Noah. You should know that, bro. Jay just says whiner. I kind of like Biden calling Trump a whiner. It was kind of funny. Dems' response was awful. Like their response to Biden's debate. Are they freaking out? Ryan Wheel says, the pundits are idiots, Sam. I don't think they're idiots. They just have to talk all day, every day, nonstop. And, you know, eventually you talk so much, you're going to say stupid things. Dems should have said, we are confident in the president's debate performance and trust he will win the election. Yeah, I think that would have been a fine response for Democrat. That's what I would have done if I was a Democrat. You know, if I was working for the Biden campaign or something, I would probably say like Biden went up there and told the truth. Trump went up there and lied his ass off. Like that's just, you know, that's as simple as it is. Jay says, I don't care. I will still vote for him. I guess you mean Biden, right? Michael Peters says, I wish we had pro-gun, pro-healthcare, pro-freedom of speech, including hate speech, and someone who would make it so any company who helps build a new house is not taxed at all, but a profit cap. Those are very specific. You were kind of doing these general things, and you went to very specific housing stuff, which can't really speak much to. Sam, do you remember Obama's first debate in 2012? No, I do not. Not at all. My daughter thinks they will replace Biden now. Ain't nobody replacing Biden, guys. Incumbency is the most powerful thing in politics. The Democratic Party is not going to throw an incumbent president out the window. There's no shot. Especially just because of a debate. Debates don't matter. Debates don't affect elections, guys. Dr. Ash says, despite the lying, I think that was the first time I saw Trump semi-behave. I agree. I think it was because his mic was muted and he knew that. So he knew that if he was yelling into the ether, he would have looked like a nut and he shouldn't do that. But I agree. He was fairly well behaved. Jason Wexelbaum says, in the keys we trust. There you go, Jason. Ulan30 says, I feel that was the easiest debate for Biden to win and he dropped the ball so hard. That's a fair point. JMS Studio says, is the social unrest keys turned false because of mass immigration problem at the border that affect big cities like New York? It's not to a scale yet. I don't think that could affect the keys. I definitely see it as a problem, but I don't think it's at that scale. I don't think it's at that scale. But you'd have to ask my dad, and I think he would say the same thing. But that's just me. Robert Lopez says, Trump is just garbage. Joe Biden did look weak. He could have done better. Fair point. Alex C says, who would you pick as presidential candidate if Biden and Trump weren't running? I like Cory Booker. I want Cory Booker to be my president. Patrick Murray says, I hope I'm wrong about Biden dropping out, but tonight was a new low for Joe. Yeah, it's weak for the Dems to switch their candidate, but I don't know how Biden will recover from it even after a week or so. I don't know. I don't agree. I just don't think debates matter. I don't think people are going to remember this debate. I think people already think Joe is old. I think people who are going to vote for Joe are still going to vote for Joe. I think people who are going to vote for Trump are still going to vote for Trump, and undecided people are going to make their vote not based on this debate, but off of many more concrete things. Rose Pham says, right, agree it's a disappointment. The orange guy did not even answer a single question. Only thing he did was attack Biden. I feel bad for Biden. He had to deal with his orange man many times. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing too, is like, yeah, Biden seemed old, but Trump also just seemed like a liar nutcase who didn't answer any questions. So it's like, maybe, no, I mean, look, there have been debates that people have swept the water with other. Debates don't affect elections. Do I know where my dad's interview is? No, I don't know. I think he's on an interview right now. I don't know where it's at. Sorry. Michael Peters says, in Japan, they are required to give TV time to all candidates for local or national elections. Not sure, but they even had a joker on the TV station running for office. Some South American nations do too. Yeah, I've heard that before, that news stations give time to TV candidates. I'd be for that. Not TV candidates, for politicians. But you have to be careful not to just let them go on there and say nonsense propaganda all day, Obama got dragged in the first debate in 2012, but beat Romney by a huge margin. Good point. Sean P says, I really think your dad should rank the rest of the presidents he didn't rank last time. Maybe you could have the ones he did before up there beforehand and then add the rest. Yeah, I think we'll do something like that after the election. I think during the election, we're just too busy right now. Isaiah Dearborn says, I was expecting fact-checking for this debate. Why didn't that happen? That's a good question. I don't know. I think fact-checking is important. Oh, God, I lost my place. Patrick Murray says, will you collab with Chris Cillizza, big YouTuber and famous writer for CNN TWP? Might be a good interview. I think my dad was on Chris Cillizza fairly recently. But yeah, I think if people reach out to my dad, he's always willing to go on. CNN pundits and the Dem commentaries are really throwing Biden under the bus. Okay. Biden being under the weather didn't help, of course. He may do better in the second debate. Yeah, he might do better too. And then especially nobody will remember this debate. You know what I mean? But even if he does better, it's still, even if he destroys Trump in the next debate, I don't think it matters. I just don't think it matters. I don't think debates affect elections. The thing is, if Biden's base is divided and Trump's base is as fanatic as ever, Trump is winning. I don't think that's necessarily true. It could be true, but not certainly true. 90% of incumbents win re-election. There you go. There's my point. Chef Christian says, this year is our nation's 60th election in 200 plus years. And how many did one of those major parties replace their candidates? 0. Good point, Jeff. Very good point. Very, very good point, Jeff. You're a smart man, Jeff. Michael Peters says, I can only say much in a limited text format. My point is someone is pro-middle and poor classes but values the Constitution. You have to give up key import values when picking up parties, sadly. Hello from Ukraine. They say, this person says, don't elect Trump, please. Okay, you heard it straight from Ukraine. Ross Goldberg says, regardless of how this debate went for Biden, too many Democratic operatives and leaders are still standing behind Biden. I don't really get it. You're saying they should move away from Biden? I thought people were saying that's what they were doing. I'm confused. Michael Peters says, I could see Dwayne Johnson running one day. He could win. I guess at this point, if Trump can win, anybody can win. But I do not see a President Dwayne Johnson in our future, in my opinion. Sean P. says, I like Cory Booker too, but do you remember his cringe moment when he tried to speak Spanish at one of the 2020 debates? Who cares? I'm supposed to not like Cory Booker because he had a cringe moment in 2020 when he tried to speak Spanish? Okay. Who cares? Sorry, why am I so fired up tonight? I guess it's because I've been seeing so many people just freaking out about this debate in 20 different directions, either pro-Biden, anti-Biden, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, neither. It's just like, bro, everybody chill out. It's one debate. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. Ahmed says, why did you delete your Twitter account and do you have a new Twitter? Yeah, I did delete my Twitter. It's because Twitter was becoming weird after Elon took it over. It's just becoming a weird cesspool. I don't have a new one. I don't really use Twitter anymore, but you can follow me on Instagram at Sammy Licht. SammyLicht. Sammy Licht in the house, baby. Sorry, I'm trying to order food while I'm also trying to talk to y'all. Let's see. Jay says, quote, yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish, Vice President Kamala Harris said in an interview on CNN. Yeah, I think Biden ended up fine. Like his answers at the end were literally fine. They were, I wouldn't even say they were bad. Yeah, it was. I wasn't really watching the start because we were having technical issues on my dad's stream, so I was like totally not focused and wasn't really listening to the start. But at least from what I saw, he's like, he seemed fine. Not good, not bad. He seemed old as shit, and what are you gonna do? Travis G says, do you and your father feel that the Constitution and our other systems would effectively protect against an authoritarian takeover of the country? I'm not a scholar on the Constitution, so I can't say 100. I can't answer that intellectually. I would say anything could happen. But I also think we do have strong barriers against it. Ulan says, I worry the debate could turn people against both candidates and possibly influence the third party key. That I could see more likely happening. Honestly, that I could see more likely happening. My dad said RFK wasn't part of it, so he doesn't gain anything. But both these guys were so blah that I think people might just be like, wait, isn't there a third guy? I don't know. Queen Sarabi says, Sam, you'll have to ask your dad this one, but do you think the DNC protests will look a lot like the Red Line protests in D.C. this month with no major riots? What are the Red Line protests? Oh. I don't know anything about that. Noah Stack, could a moderate Dem Jew like Pennsylvania governor ever win the presidency? I believe so, yeah. Like I said, Trump won the presidency. Anybody can win the presidency. I think you're talking about the current governor, right? Yeah, I think he could be a viable candidate for sure. Dr. Ash says, what do you think will happen to the MAGA cult once they lose in November? Will they find another cult to cling, or will they finally wake up? They're not going to wake up. I don't know who they would cling to. I think probably they'll flounder for a little bit, and somebody will come up and collect that cult up at some point. Between 1936 and 2012, 11 out of 14 presidents seeking a second White House term were reelected. This success rate has convinced many that, as with other, again, incumbency is the most powerful tool in politics. Michael Peters says, is there contact info we can share with places we would like to see your dad interview with? Still want to reach out to Trigonometry. Yeah, give him my Instagram or my email address, which I think you can find on either channel if you click the email. It's just lichtman.sam@gmail.com. Sphology says, this debate reminded me of the Fetterman-Oz debate. Fetterman won the election by 4 to 5 points. That's a fair point. I think there are some similarities for sure. What if this conventional wisdom is now wrong? What if, in an era of profound distrust and ingrained political disaffection, incumbency has turned into a disadvantage? And if so, can an incumbent somehow channel the discontent and still win? We've had political distrust and disaffection many times before. I think we're just on another phase of that. So no, I don't think that's going to change the entire political structure of incumbency. I mean, incumbency doesn't only exist in America, it's everywhere. I mean, incumbency is the strongest entity in all politics, no matter the distrust, the trust, the political system. It's the strongest thing, without a doubt. Am I wrong? Someone who knows politics better than me, tell me, am I wrong? Why are people assuming there's going to be a second debate? What reason does Trump have to go on a second debate? Maybe there won't be. Yeah, that's a fair point. The Keys failed when SCOTUS put their thumbs on the scale for Bush. It could happen again with a MAGA SCOTUS if MAGA disrupts the election to give them an excuse to intervene. That's a good point, Dennis. That's a very good point. Do I think that Biden's approval rating will affect this election? No. Again, it's about governing. It's not about perception. Peyton. Noah and Peyton, these are two of my homies. They're in the chat. Why do you think Biden is getting so much pushback from the Dems after that debate? I honestly thought he did better than I expected. That was some of the most cognition he's displayed in his term. I think because they're scared. I agree. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't good. I think they're just scared, and they're just like, oh my God, his cognition has been shown to now millions of people. And I also think they're comparing it to the State of the Union, where he did really well. Obviously, that was a prepared speech that he just had to stand in front of and read in prompter. So I think it's those two things. One, I think they're just a little scared. I think three things. They're a little scared. He's now done kind of weirdly on a very, very big scale against Trump, and he did much worse than the State of the Union. So they're just reacting to all those three factors. I love you, Peyton and Noah. Sean P., were you surprised Congress passed the sell or ban TikTok bill? It's in court now. How do you feel about the TikTok's future at this point? I am a little surprised. I am kind of shocked a little bit. I think TikTok's in trouble. I think it's already affected them. I think just from what I've read and what I've seen, it seems like it's already affecting them. People are like, oh, TikTok's banned, even though it's not banned. I think they'll end up selling. That's just my prediction. People are programmed to freak out because of media sound bites. That's a fair point too. Remo says Trump prepped for the debate against Biden by going to nursing homes and arguing with dementia patients. That's kind of funny. Jeff says, I also crunched some numbers. Out of all the elections in which a sitting president won a second term, their margin was bigger 64.7% of the time in the Electoral College and 70.6% of the time in the popular vote. That seems right. That seems typical to me. His closing statement was kind of bad. He did best in the middle. Yeah, Biden was stumbling on his closing statement a little bit, no doubt. Ross Goldberg says, I'm saying that I don't see how Biden will lose way too much support from Democratic leaders, the DNC, and Democratic campaigners to the point they will pull Biden. Exactly. The establishment of the Democratic Party, the people who work on elections, the people who work in the party itself are not doing it jack-ish to pull him out. You know, Democrats on TV might be freaking out, but ain't nobody in the DNC is going back and going, oh, should we pull Biden out? You know, nobody. Michael Peters says, U.S. military is the only thing that would protect the country from a dictatorship. At the end of the day, documents are law and our laws are worthless if the military behind it don't hold its values. Fair point. Why did your dad say in 2016 that Gary Johnson had the third party key when he's polling significantly less than RFK now and RFK doesn't have the third party key? I don't know. I don't remember. You have to ask him that question, I believe. What I meant about the Red Line protests was that there were thousands of pro-Palestine people gathered outside the White House earlier this month. Worst that happened was some vandalism. Gotcha. Who do you think is Trump's VP? No idea. Maybe if I was to guess, maybe Tim Scott. But I don't really know. I don't really care. I don't think it matters. Michael Peters says, not voting this time. MAGA isn't a cult, just a brick at the window. But there are Biden and Trump cultists. I don't know if there are Biden cultists. I don't know if that's a fair assessment. I think there are people who will vote for Biden pretty much no matter what. But they don't. If Biden was to shoot somebody, they would back off. If he was found a felon, they would back off. Trump's cult already proven he is a felon. They're not backing off, you know. Blaze says, oh, God dang it. Blaze says, if Trump loses again, do you think he will run again in 2028? No, he'll be too old, in my opinion. I think he will not run again. CNN hosted the largest Trump rally in history. Did they? I didn't know that. Do I personally think Biden will win the election? Yes, I personally, based off of my own gut feeling, I think he will win the election. Michael Peters says, politically, where do you and your dad clash over if you agree on all things you aren't thinking? No, we definitely don't agree on all things. Like, I'm a case-by-case basis. I'm a policy-by-policy kind of guy, so we clash all the time on things. But also agree on lots of things, too, probably. And he's also way smarter than me and knows more than me, so there's that too. William Dang says, hey Sam, rough debate for both candidates. I agree. I think that's where I'm at too. Ulan says, I feel like there's a bias where people always think the present time is extra unique and forget about presence of unique factors influence politics in the past. 100% agree. 100% agree. You think we're more divided now and there was more, than like Vietnam? We had a civil war, people. We had a civil war. You know what I mean? We had a civil war. CNN flash poll, 67% to 33% Trump. So 67% thought Trump won. That's pretty big. The winner of the debate is the new format of debate. I mean, I like the muted mics if that's what you're referring to. Patrick Murray says, you're not wrong about incumbency being the most powerful leverage, but does not mean that it makes Biden invincible. Plenty of incumbents have lost. Very fair point. Yes. I agree. He could lose. I just don't think, my point when talking about incumbency is I don't think the powers that be in the Democratic Party are going to throw an incumbent out the window because you're throwing out a giant advantage. an advantage that age, like, we don't even come close to. Queen Sarawi says, my daughter is really afraid that SCOTUS will steal the election for Trump. You need to tell your daughter to calm down, Queen. This is America. I think at the end of the day, we'll be all right. I'm not saying that our government doesn't do effed up stuff. I'm not saying that our politicians are power hungry and put their finger on the scales, but I still do believe that in America, we will be okay. But that's only if we, the people, make it sure it stays that way. Who do you think is more likely to be elected president first? A straight female or a gay male? That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. Probably a straight female. Peyton asks, did Trump really lie that much before Joe Biden? Did Trump really lie that much more than Joe Biden? If so, what do you think the biggest lies were? Would never label Trump as an honest, but I think he made some accurate, important points. It's hard to answer. I see what you're saying, Peyton. It's hard to answer that without like looking through and point by point, like counting it. Off my initial reaction, I would say that Trump lied more than Biden. The biggest lies were, I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to answer without, like, I don't like answering those questions often without like, I guess I did say Trump lied, and I do feel like I saw him lie multiple times. To answer that question correctly, I'd have to go back and point by point see where the lies were. But he often lies about the border, about his COVID response, like just what I'm remembering generally, about his COVID response, about the economy, during Biden, about inflation. Those are some topics that I heard him mention, and I felt like he was twisting the truth at tonight. What did your dad say about the debate? I think he kind of felt like everybody else. He was just kind of like, God, that wasn't great. Basically what everybody else is saying, kind of neither one won. Jeff says, Biden cultist, is there literally anyone who doesn't criticize him at all? Laugh out loud. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to call Biden's followers cultists. I don't. And I do think it is definitionally fair to call Trump supporters cultists. I think they have already demonstrated cult-like behavior. Everybody's talking about how bad Biden did, but are they mentioning when Trump said H2O when he clearly meant CO2 and didn't correct himself? That's a simple mistake. I don't think that's crazy. Do the keys predict the popular vote or electoral college or both? And you have to ask my dad that question. What is something you disagree about as I get older? What is something you disagree about? As I get older, I find I have changed my mind politically. Also, that the time can give you wisdom. We disagree about Trump a lot. My dad is like a huge Trump hater. And he also thinks Trump is always done for, and I don't. Policy-wise, maybe a little bit on the Second Amendment we disagree. He's pretty militantly far left on that. I'm probably a little bit further left on healthcare. I don't know. Just some things that could come to my mind. Does your dad think there will be mass social unrest at the DNC in August? No, he does not. Trump's rhetoric tonight was about trashing the migrants. That's a big thing that Trump lies about, and a lot of his talking points are complete nonsense, is the border and immigration. Back to Peyton's question. That's something that he lies about almost constantly. I'm not saying it's not an issue. I'm saying that Trump's rhetoric around it is often false. William Dang says, I'm surprised tonight that Donald Trump did not call Biden and the Democrats socialist. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he didn't do that. He usually, that's in his playbook usually. Captain M90 says, this is the most painful debate that I've ever watched. I don't know. Like, there were some debates that are just bad shit, like people talking over each other, screaming, saying crazy shit. I don't know if this one was painful. I don't know if that's the right word I would use. Maybe, like I said, just like disappointing or like hopeless. Those would be the words I would use. Fetterman Oz was worse than tonight. Dude, I bet you could find a ton of debates, especially if you go to the local level, a ton of debates that are way worse than this. Way worse than this. Isn't it weird that the RNC is held in July and the DNC is held in August? This technically means Trump will officially become a candidate a month before Biden. Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't think it affects anything. Your dad said 2012 first debate was worse than today. There you go. There's never been a more necessary time to invoke the 25th Amendment against Joe Biden, I'm assuming you mean, Cameron? I think this debate was probably better than the first presidential debate in 2020. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I remember that first presidential debate being nuts. NM Monster says, my point is I feel like Trump can have senior moments and gets a pass where Biden doesn't. I think that's a fair assessment. I definitely think that's a fair assessment. But I do think more people are starting to clamor about Trump's senior moments too. But I do think Biden gets worse. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I was going to say, I think at least physically, Biden looks and feels older. And I think that's why people pounce on him more than Trump. Tammy says, did anyone else catch Trump's claim that there are aborting babies after birth? What? Yeah, I think that's another lie that he told, is that with Roe versus Wade, that means at 9 months people are going to be aborting babies. I don't believe that's true. Maybe in some cases, maybe you can cherry pick here and there, but I don't think that's a widespread practice. The first debate in 2020 was unwatchable. There you go. Biden had more bite in 2020, though. Yeah, I agree. But again, it's just different types of bad. That's why I would use different adjectives to describe this debate other than like horrific or, painful or shit show. Like, I don't think it was any of those things. It was kind of amusing to see Biden tell Trump to shut up in 2020. I agree. Cameron Kerr says, yes, 25th Amendment against Biden, the President of the United States, is senile, and that puts us all at risk. I don't think you could be senile and go up and give even the performance Joe Biden did tonight. I do not think he's senile. Is he old? Yes. Is he stutter around his words and fumble around his words? Definitely. 25th Amendment? No. Hopefully Biden feels better by the second debate. Fingers crossed, because I know he has it in him to deliver some real zingers. Yeah, he could. I think Trump is insane, but Biden does have more senior moments than Trump. I think that's a fair assessment. Trump is nuts and old. Biden is just old. And yeah. Do you really think Biden is an 8 handicap, and how do you think a golf match would turn out between them? That was the best part of the debate. I know. That also cracked me up. At least now, there's no shot in hell Biden is an 8 handicap. Maybe in his prime when he was 32, our age, maybe, but I would doubt it. I kind of liked Trump saying your biggest lie of the night was saying you're a 6 to 8 handicap. I was like, I can't see that being true. Like I said, maybe when he was a young lawyer, when he was, a young congressman or whatever, young joke, maybe an 8, maybe, but I doubt it. People forget Biden has stuttering issues. Yeah, fair point. Trump looks younger because he's fatter. Losing weight gives you wrinkles when you get older. I don't think that's untrue. I honestly don't think that's untrue. Trump said Democrats allow abortion after birth, which is nonsense. Yeah, obviously complete nonsense. I feel like Trump didn't really capitalize on Biden's, why can't I say this word? Issues, cognition issues. I kept thinking that if he just pointed to Biden and been like, look how incoherent he is, it would have been a huge debate highlight moment. I don't know about that. I also think it would have made him look like a bully and would have rubbed people the wrong way. Dems are actively talking about replacing Joe. That's how bad this was. Who Dems? What Dems? Be more specific. I thought the first debate in 2020 was amusingly chaotic. I agree. The debate tonight, mediocre. I think worse than mediocre. I'd say it was bad. I'd say it was bad. I hope, Dr. Ash says, I hope the biggest lesson of the last two elections is that we stop electing old people in the future. Not going to happen. Old people dominate politics. And I think they will for a long time to come. Tammy says, I liked when Biden brought up that Trump had an affair with a porn star while his wife was pregnant. Me too. I was kind of like, oh, zing. And then Trump was like, first of all, I didn't have sex with a porn star. It's like, bro, we all know you did. Right? Come on. RFK stutters to hell and even had a brain worm that caused some brain damage, but you can tell he's competent, way different with Biden. Yeah, but he's also way younger than Biden. And he has like a vocal abnormality. That's different than a stutter. Like that's another level above a stutter, in my opinion. If Trump is reelected, he will not be dictator, but the country will be a really bad place. I also don't think he'll be a dictator, but I think he'll try, and that could be freaking scary. Like, let's not even give him a shot at trying, in my opinion. Biden should have asked Trump for a bike race. That would have been a good idea. Maybe instead of golfing, Trump could go for a bike ride with Biden. I think that would be a good idea. Darren says, hey, Sam, what's your honest assessment at this point about your dad's prediction? As far as this election goes, do you agree that Biden still has a lot that can go wrong? Yeah, I think the keys are pretty much the same. I don't think anything major has shifted in the keys. Really, the fault was the moderators. They did nothing to quell Trump's lie-filled ranting. I feel like Biden got cut off a lot. To me, the moderators were a big nothing in this debate. They I don't even really remember what they said or what they did, honestly. The pundits are panicking so bad online right now. Time to get off social media for a few days. Yeah, people are gonna panic for a few days and then it'll probably disappear. Well, Biden's like age and cognition issues. People will be talking about that till forever. But people will stop panicking over this debate and give it time. John King on CNN said Dems are having discussions about replacing Biden. Doubt it. Where is he getting this? Like, he just got a text from someone in the DNC? Be more specific. I'm saying, be as specific as possible. John King says Dems. What Dems? Who? Bradley Mustang. Forget the polls and forget the pundits. Good point. Which Dems are saying that? The far leftists? Yeah, that's a good question. Dr. Ash says, someone in the chat said RFK's brainworm is pulling higher than he is. That's hilarious. Trump did not deny E. Jean Carroll tonight while being reminded of his convictions. How can he deny it? And he's also, he can't keep defaming her, else he's going to keep getting sued by her. So what's he going to say? Do you think that the coordinated social media banning of Hunter Biden's laptop story when it originally broke counts as electoral interference? I would have to dig deeper. Possibly. I don't think it affected the election either way, if it would have come out or if it didn't come out. It depends. If Biden officials were reaching out to Twitter and like, hey, can you take this down? And then Twitter took it down. I wouldn't necessarily say that's interference, because it's up to Twitter to take it down or not. I think maybe it's more of a account of like, damn, our campaigns and our politics really have an effect on our media. Electoral interference to me would have to be a little bit more tangible and concrete and specific. The moderators should have cut off the mics when the candidates didn't answer the questions. And by candidates, I mean Trump. That would have been extreme. That would have been a little extreme. Michael Peters says, this is random, predicting Trump wins, and then the next major conflict is with North Korea, Russia's missiles, tech, and Koreans. I still don't think there's going to be a major conflict in North Korea. I think someone has talked about this before in my chat. North Korea is a struggling country. A conflict with America, I mean, come on. I mean, we're not, I know people say the same thing with Vietnam, but like North Korea, like that, those people are like starving. You know, they don't have proper nutrition. They don't have proper infrastructure. Jacob Werner says, I honestly wonder that if the keys unfold the way they look right now, what the pundits will do when they realize how wrong they were the day after the election. They learned nothing from Hillary. Yeah, I agree. They've learned nothing. But again, it's also the nature of their work. They're on TV 24 hours a day. They have to talk all the time, all day, every day. They have to treat this like a horse race. And when you treat things like a horse race, when you see a debate, which is a big spectacle, you're going to have a big visceral reaction when your job is to do that. You know what I mean? RFK apparently did his own little debate tonight. Wonder what unhinged answers he gave. Who did he debate? Was it a debate or was it more of a town hall? Because who did he debate? Okay. John King on CNN, quote, some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? It's not going to, okay. It's not, that's still very vague. Still, like, what does that mean exactly? Who's having these conversations? Who's going to go to the White House? Regardless of if those conversations are happening or not, it's not going to happen. Tammy Lear says, I like when Biden said Trump is a whiner, that something broke in him when he lost the last election. Every court didn't agree with him when he lost. I kind of liked when he called him a whiner too. I thought it was funny. Hey Sam, can you give us a quick update on where we're at with the economy keys? I cannot. That is my father's expertise. You forget nukes and history. All Asian wars are violent and fight during the worst of conditions. Yeah. But North Korea the current state of North Korea, I think, is a state that is unique. That's something we've never seen before. I could be wrong, obviously. And I see what you're saying, but I still think the current kingdom of North Korea is unlike any other place that's existed on Earth in a bad way. My daughter just asked me if they're going to replace Biden and lose the incumbency. I told her no. You agree, Sam? Yes, I agree. RFK debated himself. So it wasn't a debate. It was more of a town hall. The U.S. would destroy North Korea, but millions in the U.S. would die from the attacks from North Korea. Yeah. I don't know what kind of nuke power North Korea actually has, though. Do Trump's claims of being able to avoid/limit war during his presidency hold any merit? Yes, for sure. I think they do. I think he also got a little lucky because he was pretty against Iran and North Korea. He was agitating them pretty hard at different times in his presidency. But look, there were no wars during his presidency. You have to give him some credit for that, in my opinion. I don't give him any credit for this whole idea that if he was still president, Russia would have never cracked Ukraine, and under him, Russia didn't attack Ukraine. You can't prove a negative. We won't be able to ever prove that under Trump, Ukraine wouldn't have been attacked. And we can't ever prove that they weren't attacked because Trump was in office. That I don't give credence to. I Heart New York 2001 says economic keys are holding pretty strong. There you go. Cameron Keir said it's been confirmed that terrorists are crossing the border, but it's not a scandal. Probably terrorists cross into our border in our planes all the time throughout many, many, many decades. I don't think this time is unique. We do a special key when the keys are fully in place. Definitely. CNN polling is showing RFK lost his debate to the brainworm. You're a funny guy, Darren. Vaylander says, indeed, looking like second GDP quarter going to be decent. Queen Sorabi says, I'm starting to agree with Sam that the unrest peaked in late April/early May with college campuses. Doesn't seem to have made a bigger movement than BLM. I mean, it's certainly like died down at this point. Whether it comes back in the fall, we'll see. When kids get back into campus, we'll see. But instead, Trump had the pandemic instead of a war. Yeah, I mean, I think, Trump supporters and Trump always saying, like things were great, but then COVID, but if COVID, but COVID. It's like, yeah, but you handled COVID terribly. And people say, yeah, but the whole world was shut down with COVID. Yeah, but there were levels to this ish, dog. You can look at countries like Japan, New Zealand, who handled it way better than we did. If the U.S. wants to defend borders, you need to do the same for the North as you do to the South. Come on. Definitely the southern border it's different. It's a false equivalency to say that they're the same or that you need to treat them the same, in my opinion. Not because there's white people and brown people coming, but just because the southern border is a lot different than the northern border. Geographically, demographically, number of people crossing, reasons for people crossing. It's very different. There are probably more terrorists among U.S. citizens than there are terrorists among immigrants. I think that's probably true. I mean, more certainly. I don't know about percentage-wise, but certainly more. Can we ask anybody watching this if the debate tonight changed the way you feel? Like you're going to vote, poll, and chat. That's a good idea. I mean, we should have done that in my dad's poll. We had 2,000 people answering, but we can do it in here. Did tonight's debate change your vote? Yes, no. Um, 100% have said no. I mean, I'm not surprised, obviously, but there's only 15 votes, and most of you are probably. But you're very politically oriented, so you probably have already made up your mind way before this debate. Yeah, Vaylander says, I made up my mind about Trump in 2015. Exactly. Do I have concern about the fall? You do have concern about the fall, but doubt the colleges would let things get as crazy. I mean, I have some concern, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was in the spring. Captain M90 says, as a new legal immigrant, I support strong border policy, but many who make the same claim hate all immigrants, including legal. I don't think you'd meet anybody in America who's like, I'm for open. I mean, obviously you can meet anybody saying anything. The vast majority, I'm talking about like 90+%, everybody wants people to follow immigration laws. Nobody doesn't want people to follow immigration laws, you know. Cameron says, I voted for Obama twice and voted for Hillary. Now I'm voting for Trump. Okay. Do you, Cam? Tammy Lear says, Trump was blaming Nancy Pelosi for January 6th attack. Trump never takes responsibility. Of course, yeah. He never takes responsibility. Even if Nancy Pelosi did or didn't or had control over the National Guard, the reason those people stormed the Capitol was because Trump told them that the election was stolen. That's the reason they did it. Durjay says, what do you think of the discrepancy between the Lichtman Live poll results? Plurality said Biden won, and the reactions to the debate from pundits and commentators overwhelmingly negative for Biden. I think most of my dad's listeners are very left-leaning, so I think that's probably the biggest reason why. Simple as that. Michael Peter says, you can lower violence and terrorism by focusing on the ability of the poor to middle class and the middle class rich. Societal dysfunction is a side impact of life. It's not going to get better. I don't exactly understand what you're saying, but I think I kind of get what you're saying. You're basically saying like terrorism is about who's crossing the border or not. It's about society as a whole, which I agree with. Dr. S says, Trump's facade in the debate reminded me of Martin Shkreli's. Yikes. The guy who, like, the drug business dude who bought the Wu-Tang album. I barely remember what that guy's demeanor was like, or facade was like. No progressive in Congress except for maybe Rashida Tlaib has believed in the idea of having open borders. Not even Bernie Sanders or AOC support the idea of open borders at all. Right, it's a right-wing talking point. That's all it is. How do you feel about Nepo babies? Your media focus, so want your opinion. I don't really have an opinion about Nepo babies. Look, in life, people have advantages and disadvantages, and people have to work harder or less hard. It just is what it is. I don't really have an opinion morally about it. Dems don't care about Americans being killed by illegals, and I say this as a formal Dem. I don't think that's true, man. I really don't think that's true. Lay says, no one wants open borders. There you go. Alexis Hernandez. Most Republicans think they're so Christian, but are so hypocritical. They're so blind to the lies. I think that's a fair point. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in politics. But I think, a lot of people who use Christianity in their politics are bound to end up as hypocrites. Let's just say that. Biden issued an executive order that banned illegal aliens from applying for asylum. Yeah, I think Biden and Democrats have done quite a bit for immigration. It's just talking points and fear-mongering from Trump, in my opinion. What's the poll at? Oh, somebody voted yes. Okay, 97% out of 30 votes say that the debate didn't change their vote. And I think in any poll you would do, it would be a very high percentage. Not 97%, but still very high. All right, I'm going to sign off and go eat dinner. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. You're all men, women. You're all people of dignity and honor. Thank you, and good night.